Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. Like this Kizer Drop Bear, which was sent to me to check out so generously by Andres86, subscriber of the channel. Andres, thank you so much for sending this my way. I will be borrowing this for the time being, and then after I've had a chance to do my overview, and also we gotta rank it, I'll be sending it back after that. But until then, we're going to enjoy this knife. We're going to check it out, dig in deep. Now, if you've watched some of my more recent videos, you might know that if you hang around until the end of the video, I'm going to be giving away some stickers. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hang on till the end of the video. Now, is the Kizer Drop Bear just another Benchmade Bugout Clone? A shadow of the famed Axis lock? Did they do it right? I think that's the better question. Let's check it out. Guys, this is the Kizer Drop Bear. Let's see what it's all about. So in front of us, we have the Kizer Drop Bear. The Kizer Drop Bear is what many are going to go ahead and say is a Benchmade Bugout clone, but not me. You see, I believe that impersonation is the best form of flattery, and while they may have done a good job, I wouldn't say that they've gone so far as to make a clone. They may have taken an existing design and made it better, but it's definitely not a clone. Let's go ahead and get in some basic specs here real quick. It's got an overall length of just over 7 inches. Blade length is just shy of 3 inches, and it's got a weight of 3.5, 3.7, somewhere in that realm. You're looking at a 154 cm blade with thumb stud deployment. This is what they are calling a clutch lock, although if you are knowledgeable, you probably know that that looks almost exactly like a Axis lock. It does have matte finish aluminum scales, which are shadow boxed by these steel liners. Of course, it has a stamped deep carry pocket clip, along with some barrel spacers here on the back. The jimping extends very far out on the blade, which is really nice because it gives you the ability to move your thumb really far down on that blade spine so that you get plenty of decent leverage for any kind of cutting movement like this. The drop point is awesome because it's very utilitarian, and here towards the tip, you might notice that there is a bit of a swedge. And that swedge, if you weren't aware, offers some cutting relief for cutting finer materials. And yes, the swedge is just at the tip. Anyways, looking at this knife, you might be thinking that it's a pretty ordinary looking design, minus the violent thumb studs. If you're not a fan of that color of thumb stud, don't worry. They do make it with a non-colored, just plain old black thumb stud, but that's no fun. Listen, all the versions of this that I've seen on knife reviews have this violet thumb stud, and I think that that's pretty cool. The overall design is designed by Azo. I'm a plebe. I'm not sure who Azo is, but that's who designed it. It's also on the blade as well as the name of the knife, which I think is kind of unnecessary if we're being completely honest. And on the other side, the billboarding continues with the blade steel as well as the Kizer logo. I would have much rather seen that Kizer logo on a one-sided pivot, but they didn't do that. They had to advertise on the blade. It is what it is. I would have preferred that it wasn't there, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. Now, to get to the elephant in the room, we need to talk about this clutch lock. I mean, obviously, it is a continuation of the Axis lock. The Axis lock, in case you didn't know, was a design that was created over 20 years ago by a father-stepson duo. Their names are Bill McHenry and Jason Williams, and they originally did it on, I think the knife was the Benchmade 710? I could be wrong. I'm not a huge Benchmade guy, but I believe it was the Benchmade 710. They sold the rights to Benchmade, and Benchmade only recently, within the last couple of years, decided not to renew the patent, which opened up this design to a lot of other knife companies, which, by the way, I think is great. Knife companies aren't known for doing the greatest things for their competitors, and they didn't have to. They could have renewed the patent on it, but instead they gave it to the people and they said, you know what, go out and be great. And that's something that I definitely appreciate. I'm fairly impressed with the matte finish on these aluminum handle scales. And in fact, I had to double check the materials on here because the matte finish is so good that it makes the aluminum handle scales not feel like aluminum handle scales. They're very comfortable, and that matte is so deep that it almost feels like a light rubber, like a hardened rubber, but it's not. And that's very comfortable on the hand. You don't want hard corners on the part that you're gripping all day because that creates hot spots. And despite the fact that this has a stamped deep carry pocket clip, there are no hot spots. The pocket clip will disappear in your hand. So if you're like me and you're not a fan of that, just go ahead and, you know, hold the knife. It'll go away. Perfect. That being said, that pocket clip is indeed reversible, and given the fact that this clutch lock can be actuated on either side with one finger, one hand, it's completely ambidextrous. So you lefties, I know you often get forgotten. Congratulations, you won this one. You don't have to worry about it. You can make it whatever side carry you want. It'll fit both hands just fine. It's easy to actuate. The clutch lock reminds me of a mix between the shark lock on a Demco 8020.5 and a button lock. And here's what I mean when I say that. This knife has no detent. The detent, quote unquote, is created by the pressure on that omega spring. And that omega spring on the clutch lock is different than an axis lock because unlike in an axis lock, you can in fact customize this to your preference. So you see, if you were to take this handle scale off, you would be able to change the tension on it. You could increase it or decrease it. There are several holes below this scale, which you can place the omega spring in to increase or decrease the tension. When I talked to Andres about this, he said that he thought it came perfect, so he didn't bother doing that, but you can if you want to. And honestly, if you own this knife, I suggest that you do, because you don't really know if one is better than the other until you find out for yourself. The fact that the person that lent this to me thought that it came perfect from the factory is a testament to just how good Kizer tested these before they sent them out, because they had options. They could have chosen any tension, and instead they picked the one that they thought customers would like. But the option is there. Options equal freedom. Let freedom ring. Cool? Cool. It does have a lanyard hole. Typically, I only put lanyards on knives where I don't feel like I can get a full grip on it, and the lanyard provides a little extra grip. But on this knife, that's not a problem. You don't really have a whole lot of suggestions as for where you should put your hands, because your hands are going to fall into that grip naturally. It feels like this is just the grip that you should have it in. You can put your finger on the spine of the blade, thank you to that long jimping, and so it's going to be good for those draw cuts. And you can put your thumb on the spine of the blade if you're going to be doing something with a little more leverage, a little more control, and that drop point, of course, is going to be good for those utility cuts. All in all, what I'm getting at is that this knife has the makings of a really, really good EDC knife. It's something you can fidget with without thinking about, and it's a design that will plain disappear in your pocket. Here's what I mean. Let's do a quick couple comparisons. Here's the Demco 8020.5. As you can tell, the Demco 8020.5 is kind of similar in the length, a little bit longer on the blade. What about on a Spyderco Para 3? Now, both of those knives are, you know, they're just great EDC knives. And if you're going to say that a knife is a good EDC knife, you got to compare it against others that people claim that on. I'm not going to compare this anymore to the Demco 8020.5, except for to mention that it already has better materials than this, and it still costs, you know, $30, $40 less. Where it's similar is in that lock. And here's what I mean. The shark lock, you actuate it from a closed stance, it'll get that blade to pop out. And with the clutch lock, it's much the same. As you can see, the blade is tied to the tension of that spring. So I do think that it's important to play around with the tensions on here, and I will definitely do that at some point just to get a feel for it myself and to see if I agree that the stock setting for the Omega spring on this knife is indeed the best. 154 cm, one of my favorite blade steels, especially for a knife that you're going to use because it's really well rounded out. It's going to hold an edge decently well. It's not going to be too terribly tough to sharpen, and it has a fair amount of corrosion resistance, which is only buoyed by that coating on the blade. Yeah. Now, normally, you know me, I prefer to have a backspacer to protect that blade against things in my pocket like change or keys. But hey, it's 119 bucks. I don't necessarily expect to find backspacers on knives that cost 119 bucks, but it would have been nice if we had at least had an option. And I think that was a missed opportunity on Kizer's part because they could have had a aluminum backspacer fitted to match the color of that thumb stud. That's the word I was looking for, thumb stud. All right, guys. I am super excited to eventually get to rank this knife. And when I say eventually, I mean that I still have about another, 10, 11 days before I release the Grail or Garbage review where I rank the Kizer Drop Bear. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, without further ado, it's time to find out who's winning the Sharp and Shiny. All right, so now that we are through checking out the Drop Bear, we need to go ahead and pick a couple winners to win some Sharp and Shiny. I'm going to use the website Comment Picker just like I would if I was doing a giveaway, and I'll pick a couple winners. If you win, my email is in the description below. Shoot me an email with your name and mailing address, and I will write out a handwritten note, stuff in some stickers, and send it your way. So if you're interested, this is what this is for. Let's go ahead and head over to Comment Picker. Now, I've already gone ahead and copied the link. Oh, that's Facebook. Let's not do that. Here we go. YouTube Comment Picker. All right, that's the link for the very last video, which was a Grail or Garbage on this Spyderco Para 3, which, if you're interested, link's up there. Up there somewhere. So, you know what? I'm not going to filter duplicate users. If you comment a bunch, better chances to win a sticker. There you go. And some math. That would be 14. We'll get our comments going. Yeah. And here we go. So the first person to win some Sharp and Shiny is Tom Brown. I believe Tom Brown was actually the person that won the Finch Buffalo Tooth. Shout out to Tom. Tom says, sympathy for your wallet, but marveling at your cutlery collection. I have 2 Spydercos now, no paramilitary 2 or 3. I would like an exclusive in crewwear though. Good video and great knife. Looking sharp. Have a knife day. Tom, I'm stealing that closing line, man. Love it. Tom, you have my email. I've got your shipping address. So even if you don't respond, I might just ship you a couple stickers. All right, let's go ahead and pick another one. And the second winner of the Sharp and Shiny is a Chris S. My man Chris says, the first time I watched your channel, I knew you'd be a grower, not a shower. 711 subs and growing. Keep up the good content, and the stickers are awesome. Chris, thank you, man. You're awesome. And since then, we're now at 726 as of this moment. I could be shooting myself in the foot. It could be 727 by the time this gets posted. So Chris and Tom Brown, emails in the description. Shoot me an email. Again, Tom, I might just send an envelope your way, brother, since I already have your address. Chris S., you as well. Emails in the comments as well. Guys, that's all I got for you today. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it and you stuck around this long, I don't know what to tell you And if you want to see more content just like it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Other than that, I will see you on the flip side.